There is a prison that has no bars, no walls, no guards, no locks that you can see, and yet it holds more people more completely than any physical prison ever built. You cannot see it from the outside. In fact, from the outside, everything looks perfectly fine. The person living inside it goes to work, comes home, smiles at the right moments, and says they are fine when asked. But inside there is a constant, quiet, exhausting sense of confinement, of limitation, of a life being lived in a space far smaller than the one that was meant for them. Buddha called this prison the conditioned mind, and he spent his entire life teaching people how to find the key that had been inside them all along. The conditioned mind is the mind that was shaped, entirely and automatically, by everything that happened to you before you were old enough to choose, by what your parents believed about the world and unconsciously transmitted to you, by what your culture told you was possible and acceptable for someone like you, by the experiences that hurt you and the conclusions you drew from them, usually while you were a child with a child's capacity for nuanced understanding, by the voice of every teacher, every bully, every authority figure who told you something about who you were and what you were worth, and which you absorbed as fact. And now, decades later, you are still living inside the story those early experiences created, still treating the conclusions of your childhood as the permanent laws of your adult life, still believing that you are not smart enough, not talented enough, not lovable enough, not capable enough, not because you examined these beliefs as an adult and found them to be true, but because you absorbed them before you had the ability to question them. This is the prison, not the circumstances of your life. The story you have been unconsciously telling about what your circumstances mean about you. Buddha's first key is awareness. The simple, profound, world-changing act of becoming aware that the prison exists. Most people never take this step. They assume that the way they see themselves and the world is simply reality, not a conditioned interpretation of reality that was constructed by experiences they never chose. The moment you recognize, truly recognize, that the limiting beliefs running your life are stories rather than facts, the prison wall develops its first crack. The second key is inquiry. Buddha was a relentless questioner, not of other people's beliefs, but of his own. He looked at every assumption, every conclusion, every story he was carrying about himself and the world, and he asked with genuine curiosity, "Is this actually true? How do I know it is true? What is the evidence? What would I believe if I had not had that experience?" This practice of honest self-inquiry is not comfortable. It surfaces things that were buried for good reason, but it is the most liberating practice available, because you cannot be free from a prison you refuse to examine. The third key is compassion for the person who built the prison. This one is crucial and most people skip it entirely. The beliefs that are limiting you now were not mistakes. They were survival strategies. The child who decided they were not lovable was trying to make sense of experiences that were genuinely painful. The person who decided that success was dangerous was trying to protect themselves from disappointment. These strategies served a purpose. They helped you survive. But they were designed for a situation that no longer exists, for a child who needed protection that an adult no longer needs in the same way. Meet the part of you that built those walls with compassion rather than frustration. It did the best it could with what it had, and it kept you safe when safety was what you needed most. Thank it. And then, gently, lovingly, consistently, begin to dismantle what no longer serves you. The fourth key is action. New experiences that contradict the old story. Because the mind does not update its beliefs through thinking alone. It updates them through experience. You believe you are not capable? Take one action that proves you are. You believe no one will truly accept you. Allow one person to know you completely. You believe you cannot change. Change one small thing consistently for 30 days. Every action that contradicts the old story chips away at the prison wall, and every chip is followed by a little more light. And the final key, the master key that makes all the others possible, is the one Buddha held up in front of every person who ever sat before him in suffering. He said, "Look inside, not outside, inside." The freedom you are searching for is not in a different job or a different relationship or a different body or a different set of circumstances. It is in a different relationship with the story you have been living inside. Change the story, not by pretending, but by examining it, questioning it, outgrowing it, and ultimately replacing it with something true, something chosen, something yours. The prison was never locked from the outside. It was always locked from the inside. And the key has always been yours. You just forgot you were holding it. Save this and share it with someone who is living smaller than they were meant to. Subscribe to Tathagata Wisdom, because every single day we bring you the wisdom that opens doors you forgot were there and reminds you of the extraordinary freedom that has been available to you all along.